You see my merch?
What does that say? Captain Rob's bait and tackle.
Yep,
You can beat our prices, but you can't beat our meat, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Dry hooks don't catch fish, baby. You can talk about anything on here because we none of us are rolling on those ambulances anymore, and we don't have to answer to HR anymore, and the statute of limitations are done. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gettin 10-8. With me, as always, Mike Pontius, the right hand guy, the navigator, the map book reader, as I'm driving him on two wheels down the damn rusty road trying to get to a patient. And with us, we have two legendary medics, Mr. Scott St. Germain. If you would, raise your hand so they'll know which one's Scott. Scott St. Germain and Joe Remarcik. So basically, what this episode is this a bunch of old coast medics right here.
Hmm.
The coast is well represented on this one. So I'm going to start, and because y'all know that asshole down below me, but these other guys that I've got, the guy over here to my side, Scott St. Germain, what got you started in EMS? When did you start? What got you interested in it? And then what did you do when you moved from the truck to where?
Yeah, so I grew up the son of a veterinarian, kind of like Pontius did, the son of a what it was a radiologist, Mike. So probably like Mike, which should have been a radiologist. I was supposed to be a veterinarian.
I wasn't gonna be a fucking doctor, dude. It,
Yeah.
no
Well,
doubt.
I was supposed to be, and man, I was destined to be a veterinarian, right, and take over my dad's business, and was a successful business in New Orleans, and uh, the Slidell Fire Department were looking for some volunteers when I was about 17 to run this volunteer truck out by the subdivision where I lived, so our insurance would go down. My mom talked me into volunteering, and so I did, and went through the training, and I was like, "Man, this is cool." And I had fun with it, and then I just wanted to take it one step further, and then I wanted to become an EMT, and I got my EMT and went to go work with Washington Parish Ambulance Service and in Bogalusa, and ran a few calls with their paramedics, and I thought, wow, I think I need to be a paramedic, and so went on over to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and learned there was a class going on. I was in the Mariana, Chris Morrison, trying to think of some of the others that were in my group. Those could ring a bell because who?
What year?
That was 92, 90, 92, class of 92.
Gary
Uh,
Shirley still teaching?
Gary Shirley and who else was helping him? Uh,
Bruce LaFada.
Bruce LaFada.
Rose.
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yep. And
Man,
then I worked at the Copa Casino as an EMT for about maybe 3 months before Mobile Medic finally brought me on board. And I was with Mobile Medic for about 2 weeks before it became AMR. And and yeah, that was my start.
I got you. Joe, what about you? You took a trip around the world to get to us.
Yeah, right out of high school, I enlisted in the Air Force to be a law enforcement specialist. Got stationed at Keesler, and what got me into medicine is I got into being a law enforcement because I wanted to help people, and it was kind of a cool job and all. The first car wreck on the base, I pull up in my squad car because I'd done some dog handling. So I was on patrol. I pull up, and it was a retiree going to the hospital, and he had minor cuts, but there was a lot of blood, and he was screaming and yelling, and he said, "Don't take me to jail. Don't give me a ticket." I said, "Man, I'm in the wrong business. They see this uniform, they automatically don't think I'm here to
Yeah.
help them."
Yeah.
So when I got out a little early. I went back to Minnesota. I got my I went to EMT, and I was naive about what EMT was. So I went to the classes. They were at night, and I was thinking, I said, "Well, man, when do we get to start IVs and shock people and stuff?" And they're like, "Oh no, you don't do that as a basic." And in Minnesota, you don't work on the 911 ambulance until you're a paramedic. So I ended up going on to hiring on with a little agency up there and doing wheelchair van transports. Went to paramedic school. When I got out, little did I know this that the mobile medic nationwide recruitment drive was really for AMR. So I thought that I was getting hired on with mobile medic in 1994. They came down and they hired me, and then went back to Minnesota, came back, got my stuff, and all the trucks had AMR on them, and we all had AMR on our uniforms. I was like, okay. I still have I can't find it now, but I still have one of the black mobile medic ball caps somewhere.
One of the big jackets that's still.
Yeah.
And the big jackets that
The
had the
Tuffy
patch on the
jacket.
back.
The
That had
Tuffy Jack.
AMR.
Delahoosie will come
Yeah,
arrest
so
you for that jacket. You better not say that.
What's that?
Delahoosie will come arrest him for that jacket. You better not say
Oh yeah.
that, Robert.
That's true.
I don't know. He
So
doesn't. He doesn't have that coroner badge to chase you down anymore with.
that's right. He's no longer the ranger. I don't have any cows out either, so he can't get me to that. No, but I've been down here ever since, and I have worked between AMR and Acadian for several years, and got into offshore while I was at Acadian. Went to their offshore division, and I liked
Yep.
it. Came back to AMR on the street, only to go back and work with Mike in the offshore division for AMR for a short time,
Right.
and now I'm working for an outfit out of New Orleans. I have been since 2014, working offshore. So I got a little bit of everything: ambulance, all the way from wheelchair to offshore.
Are you in the
There you
Gulf?
go.
Yeah, we're in the Gulf, and we're up in the Northeast too, doing the wind farm.
Working with Jason Carter, right? You swapping Jason Carter out.
Yeah, Jason's one of my employees. He works for Edison. Well, we're contracted with Edison Swiss.
Yeah.
Wait,
Okay.
are y'all doing HSE or medic? What are you doing?
We're just doing medic right now. We did some downsizing with a lot of turbulence in the oil field, so a couple of our contracts we weren't able to secure, but um, we're bouncing back big time, and we're big into education. I'll talk to you offline, Mike. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. A colleague of ours just loves the offshore classes that he has, the offshore medicine class.
Okay. Which is an expanded scope of practice. Pretty much taking the
We're
paramedics, turning them into PAs.
Basically.
doing that, Joe. When we did the NPIC course up in Jackson, you set that up. We ran that thing and put some people.
Yep. Yep, sure did. But I can't touch this guy. he's got he's got the whole thing, the cadaver lab and everything.
Oh.
Wow. That's very impressive.
I'd say
Closest thing we got to cadavers was the damn pig hooves that I was having everybody sew up.
Oh no, he's got the hookup at LSU, so we take advantage of that.
Is that why you wear that defective hat?
No, I've been an LSU fan all my life, believe it or not. Even from Minnesota, I was an LSU
Yeah, I was
fan.
fixing to say that was a long commute for you to get to class over there.
You got to remember, Rob, back then we didn't have cable TV. So up in Minnesota, when you're watching college football, who's on TV?
The winners.
The winners, which
Brett
is
Favre.
LSU.
well, now I like Brett Favre. Don't get me wrong, but yeah. So and besides that, I like the Vikings, so I don't have to change my colors between college and.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
right.
speaking
All
of
right.
Minnesota, look at number 14. He's a special teams kid, Tim Jones. He grew up. Grayson, my youngest, played with him in football here in Biloxi, and then he went to Southern. He went to Louisiana Lafayette, and then went back to Southern, and then he's went to Jags for 4 years, and then Minnesota picked him up. So he's a good guy. Number 14,
Number
What's his
14.
name?
Tim Jones. Great
Okay.
kid, and he's a young man, got 2 kids, and got his head on right. He loves to fish. He's got a YouTube channel,
Got
Jim
him.
Tones Fishing, Jimtones, Jim Tones, which is
Okay.
on Tim Jones, and he's a huge fisherman, man. Loves it.
He'll have plenty to do in his off season.
Yeah, so check out Tim Jones for your Minnesota coastal connection there, Joe.
I thought you were going to tell me about your son because when I remember last, he was doing great.
They're done. He had his shining moment with the Colts and missed a team meeting, and the window closed on his fingers.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
I mean, it's quick. It's in and out. You got a fleeting moment to
shine like a diamond in a goat's ass.
you ought to keep shining, but you got a fleeting moment with no fuck ups allowed. And when they paying you $500,000 a year back then, I think it's up to 700 a year now. They're looking for a reason not to keep you.
Well, that's why I tell my son, if you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late.
All right.
Yep.
You need to be 15 minutes early everywhere you're going.
Lori, I'm on time. No bullshit. You 10 minutes late. I promise you. That's my wife. She can't be anywhere on time for nothing.
That's like Ron White talking about when he was married to this gal. He said, "Man, I hear her on the telephone. She's in the bathtub saying, 'Oh, we're going to be there in a few minutes. We're coming up on this exit. We'll be there in 12 minutes.' We wouldn't be there in 12 minutes if you were where you said you were."
If you had one shoe on trying to put the other one on, we wouldn't make it in 12 minutes. She's still in the tub one because you're going to change shoes 3 times before we walk out the door. And that's look, my wife, we've only been married
30 years.
years, something like that. And my cue to start getting ready is when I hear
You're-
the hair dryer turn off.
Yeah. You're making points. 36 years, I don't know, something like that.
It's a long freaking time, but I'm telling you, and she knows I'm coming down the hall within a couple minutes of hearing the hair dryer turn off. And
Lori doesn't watch these episodes, does she, Mike?
sometimes she's sitting here, but she's not. She's watering plants tonight because we got our arid what you call this climate desert. The shit's turning to sand. So if we don't water our cactus, they're gonna die.
Mike,
Oh, yeah.
I saw Tina, as you remember, Tina LaFramboy.
Yeah, I saw Tina at Tailgaters one night.
Yeah, she asked. I told her, I said, I'm going to be on a podcast with Mike tonight, and Rob will probably tell you about 10 people subscribed today. Everybody that was sitting in that room said, "What are y'all doing? What's Mike doing?" But
And
yeah,
Rob
Mike
told me this. And I grew up
her
listening.
dad worked with Lori, and I said,
Lori with her dad. Tina cut my hair. She gave my youngest his first haircut. And her Cheryl, her sister, who they don't talk either, but they it's just a small world how the circle comes back around.
No, I wasn't. Yeah, Tina and I were good friends, and everybody couldn't believe Tina and I hadn't dated. But Tina had such good-looking friends that I would just, as long as I was friends with Tina, I got to date all of the friends.
You were sniping all around her. You were.
Yeah.
She was the bait. She was the
you
chum.
wanted the hottest babes. Robbie, listen, you wanted the hottest babes in town, you go with the best looking gay guy you got. That was Cirillo. He had women all over him. All over him. I'm talking the best looking of the best looking of the best looking was hanging on Cirillo. Even Stanton learned to play that game.
That's right.
Speaking of Stanton, sends me a text this morning.
No kidding.
Bank's 36 for sale on Facebook Marketplace. And he sends me a text and says, "Hey, man, we need to buy this and go relive some memories," because we had that Grand Banks 42 that we used to run all over in. And I had taught Stanton in forever. He'd be a good one to get on here.
Yeah, he lived with me for a while. After the hurricane, he lived with me for about 3 or 4 years.
Mike?
Yeah.
I thought he was in Laurel.
You thought he was in where?
I thought he was up there with David in Laurel.
Well, Meridian. That's where his family's at, is up in Meridian.
Okay.
But no, right after Katrina, He lost his house down there, and he came up and set up shop up here on my property. And then next thing you know, they dropped a FEMA home up here for him. And he lived up here for about 4 or 5 years until after his dad was about to pass, and he had to go up there and help his mom take care of his dad. But that was some good times, because if it wasn't for Mike, I would not have met my wife. It's the best story I've got. Mike tells me one day, he says, "Hey man, I got a condo on the beach in Fort Walton, and I had a bunch of people that it was not Fort Walton, it was in Destin." He said, I had a number of people that were going to go with me, and it all canceled. He said, "You think you could put some girls together to go with us?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know." "Oh, I know some." And I said, "I met these girls a nightclub down on the beach in Biloxi one night and took them sailing." And I said, "And man, there were some beautiful women." I said, "Yeah, let me call them." And turned out that was Deidre, and they came down and hung out with Mike and I at the beach in Destin, and that was 27 years ago when we got married.
Did he have the ice chest boom box or the shoulder carried boom box?
The shoulder carry one, yeah.
Yep.
He
Old
had
school.
That
got 150 that had two 12-volt car batteries in it, and it had a subwoofer and speakers, and it took 3 people to carry the son of a bitch. And I'm gonna tell you, Bose Acoustic Labs probably should have patented what he did, because it could make some serious sound.
I think you're talking about the one he put on his jet ski, the ice chest with the back. He put it on the back of his Sea-Doo.
He made multiple variants. When we would have supper club on the beach, he would bring this boom box out, and if we didn't have a cop or two there, we were gonna get called for noise violations. Yeah. Hey, back up real quick, because you said you had about 10 new subscribers today. And Joe, we ain't gonna hog it. We're gonna let you chat in a minute, I hope. But Rob says, have you looked at I ain't watched the first minute of any of this shit. No.
Yeah, that was a big running joke. Joe,
it is. He'll say, "Hey man, did you do this or this?" I said, "So let me tell you this. I don't like hearing myself talk, even though I talk. I can't stand hearing it." Number 2, Scott, you sent me a text in Florida. You said, "Man, you kept me for a freaking hour and a half."
Yeah,
A number of times. Something right.
A number of times.
Yeah. But it just is, whether anybody listens to it or not, and I tell this to people all the time. We are recording
history,
stories, and they don't go away. And so if we do this for nothing other than some kind of archival reference,
this shit happened on the coast.
And I don't mean to take, because Rob, I know it takes a lot of effort to do this. This is maybe not a lot of effort, but it takes effort. I bet it takes you. Well, shit, dude, we sat here for 3 hours before shot the shit. So I know you're gonna cut down to an hour.
You got to watch it all. You got to watch the whole thing again.
Oh, I've got to watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
When whatever we put on here, and we'll get to talking for sometimes these episodes, we'll be on here for three plus hours, and I try to get it down under 2. That's my goal. So I go in and I do some chops and edits, and so you have to watch it multiple times to get where you're getting it on the right beats, where it doesn't look where it's not all together. That's why we record this thing. I'll tell y'all right now, it's Tuesday night. This thing won't go live until Friday, so that's the way she rolls.
Well, here's something I want to do, and I will actually take the task of doing it. To get more people, I think if you were to, if we, like we mentioned, Mike,
I get Stanton
down here, and in the scroll somewhere or in the post, you need to tag Mike Stanton.
Yeah.
Put what time it was, but anybody we mention in here, in the good context, you need to tag them in the post.
Yeah.
You can't. YouTube doesn't. I mean, I guess I could in the description go in there.
No, on Facebook, when you put it on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
And say,
well,
hey, you're in it this week.
I've learned I'll post this thing on Friday. I won't even talk about it on Facebook until next Tuesday. Because what happens is the algorithm at YouTube figures out that, hey, everybody that's coming to this video is coming from an external source. Well, he's promoting it himself. We don't have to do anything. But if I sit there and I don't post it, and the algorithm shows it to people, and then they go, okay. So when I haven't posted anything till like a week later, the algorithm has shown it to more people before I want to let the algorithm do its work.
Man, whatever works. Again, like I said, if one person watches this, great. If 1,000 people watch it, great. I've still hadn't deposited that check from the last round. Well, I mean, it's 3 cents, and I got to spend $2 in gas to go deposit 3 cents. So I'm not worried about the check. If you get them up to $1, I'll drive to the bank. But I think if somehow we can tag some people in the Facebook release post,
yeah, I can do that. I can do that.
I'm listening.
I know I'll get Stanton on easy. You know who else would be a good one is Jody Abshire. Jody would be great.
Yeah. Jody does he helps out some other guy with a podcast too.
George Bradley.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
If he's already doing podcasts, he's got all the equipment. That's great. I won't have to send anything anywhere.
Yeah, I think he's doing some other as a hobby with some other guy that is doing a podcast that does interviews and stuff like that.
He's still with Shell?
No, he's with Transocean.
Okay. I think he left Shell and went to Diamond actually, and then to Transocean.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we do a lot with Transocean, our company does. And so I run into him quite often.
That's awesome, man. I need to text him and say, hey, I hadn't talked to him in a while. But last time I saw him, Joe, I went out to Laredo. Remember, I was going to the Shell site out there to try to get some work with them. And well, he gave me the dog and pony show of that 300,000 acre oil field they were working out there. And then he took me to Little Mexico to get a transmission for his Land Rover. He was in the Land Rovers at the time. I don't know if he's still got or not.
That's an expensive habit there.
Now,
yeah, it is.
Go to a junkyard and get this shit cheap. You just have a gun, be ready to fight your way out.
In Mexico, a Mexican junkyard.
I was in Laredo.
Okay.
Which is Mexico.
He might as well be.
Yeah. He took me down to the border one night. I'm like, let's go. Seen enough.
No doubt.
I ain't never moved a dresser in front of a door in a hotel room, but I did it that hotel.
So, Joe.
Yeah.
So you're still functioning in EMS. You're functioning as a expanded scope of practice paramedic offshore. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say is, I do keep all of my credentials, and I do go out. I'm typically the ops manager,
Okay.
but I do go out at least 2 or 3 28-day hitches a year.
Oh shit!
Right.
Yeah, just to keep my skills up.
Good for you.
Well, the reason I say that is just FYI, everybody. This is the one man that's on this podcast that still has HR to contend with. I think Mike is safe to say what the hell he wants. I know I am. And Scott, you could say whatever the hell you want because we aren't beholden to any companies anymore.
No.
Right.
Well, Joe, you can do a whole lot of talking without saying a name. So it's
I used to do it to you all the time in the office.
And if you say a name, there's that magical tool called editing. All you have to do is say, "Hey, Rob, pull that name out when we get to."
Well, I haven't kept any of my registration or anything, but I live up in Sauger, Mississippi, so I'm used to coding people up here. Meth overdoses and crack overdoses and fentanyl overdoses. And
Are you running with the rescue squad up there?
No, I'm kidding. I mean, I'm
Oh,
not kidding. I'm not kidding. And then, as a matter of fact, it was less than a year ago. I drove across one of my neighbors that was getting coated in her front yard. Uh, so you got to
Wow.
drive through some area. I'm in a pretty good area up in Socia up here. I'm up in the national forest. You know,
Mhm.
to get to us, you got to go through East Wortham, and
I was gonna say you're off
You've
the work.
you've
yeah,
got to you go down this road, and then there's a sunlight pump. You take a right there, and then you drive another mile to get to his house.
yeah, yeah.
Where that barn used to be and turn right.
That's right. That's about right.
Well, Joe, I mean, Scott, you just 67 is a mile from me.
Yeah, yeah, right at the road. We need to go sailing. I know we've been talking about that, but I think man, I, I don't. Did I send you the article I wrote up about my trip to Chandelier Islands on his sailboat where I
Reading it, yeah.
lost all the oil in the engine, and
Yeah.
I got some thumping going on now, or some knocking going on. I got to work out before I take you sailing.
Is that your
Yeah.
boat?
No, it's Fred's boat. That's another pretty interesting story. So I had my 36 Catalina,
Right.
and the deal I made with my wife was, hey, look, I'm going to buy this boat. I'm going to have it paid off by the time Carly is ready to go to college. I'm going to sell the boat and use that money to put her through college. And it worked out perfect, man. Carly was ready to go to college. And this guy comes up, he's 65 years old and he just retired. And he said, man, I don't know anything about sailing, but I love that boat. And he said, I'll buy it if you'll teach me. So hell yeah, I'll teach you. And turned out to be well, I'll tell you this, the first time I take him out, the day before, we spent the entire day, had to be in July or August, trying to change out the air conditioner in it. And I
Mm.
mean, we're just pouring sweat. Both of us dehydrated. He's a drinker, so he was already dehydrated going into it. And that next day, we ought to take he and all of his family out to Horn Island. I get them anchored up, man. I even got a stern anchor on the island, and so that the whole family could just kind of jump right off the back of the boat and take that stern launch straight to the beach, and got all his family on the beach, and he's the last one. He's sitting behind the helm, and the helm's about like, and he's a big dude. This Fred is
Six
oh man.
four if he's an inch.
Well, you saw him.
Yeah,
You
6'4" if
big
he's an
guy.
inch.
So he's sitting behind the helm, and I said, "Wait, Fred, you gonna get in the water and go to the beach with your family?" And he said, I don't know. It sure is bright out here." I'm looking at him and he's looking right at the sun. And I was like, man, with no sunglasses on. I was like, man, put your glasses on. You're looking at the sun. What the hell? And all of a sudden he just falls back. Arms, I mean, just as limp as could be.
Holy shit.
And so I yell at the beach. And well, first of all, I thought about it for a second. I was like, damn, dude, you're 65. You worked your ass off to get to this moment. You spent 2 days on a boat that you bought. This was his dream. He told me all about it the day before, right? And I was like, damn, dude, I can't believe you just died right here. And your whole family, we're going to sail back with you. And I'm thinking about this stuff. And then I started thinking, well, shit, Scott, you probably ought to do something. And then I looked at the situation, and he's behind this big helm, the wheel of this boat. And I'm like, I can't get to him and do anything. I'd already asked somebody to call 911, and I'm thinking, how are we going to do this? And so I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and hit him hard,
Thump him.
Yeah.
Up his ass.
And man, I came over the top of that wheel and I just,
Boom.
damn, I hit him hard and he came up, ah, what the hell? I mean, he was hurting. And so his wife, when she heard me calling for help, she comes swimming to the
Res-
boat.
responsive to painful stimuli.
So she crawls onto the boat while he is wondering why he's hurting so bad from me hitting him. And she and I are arguing. She says, this has happened before. He just passes out. And I was like, well, I checked his pulse. I mean, he didn't have a pulse. And she says, well, and as we're talking, he's kind of leaning over, hurting from me hitting him.
Yeah.
But he got real quiet. And I mean, I just barely touched his shoulder and boop, right back into that same dead position again.
Holy shit.
And I checked his pulse again, no pulse. And so I go to hit him again, and his wife grabs my arm. And she's like, don't do that to him. Man, I'm telling you, I had to fight her off to hit him again. and I hit him again, and he woke up again and begged me not to hit him again. And I finally got him. I got him to lay down in the cockpit. I got his legs up high, and he stayed conscious for 30 minutes until this little girl shows up, and you might know who I'm talking about. I mean, she's probably 80 pounds soaking wet. She shows up in a wildlife and fisheries flatboat, and I'm on a sailboat, with 6 foot
He's in
above
that
the
little
waterline.
Carolina skiff.
Yeah, and she shows up in this little flatboat and says, "I heard somebody had a seizure."
Mm-mm.
And I was like, And she's like, "Well, I'll take him to the hospital. Just have him climb down here." And I was like, We're not doing that either. Not unless I have him come down, head first,
Yeah.
which is what we ended up doing, right? And I rode back with him, and we hit the Ocean Springs boat launch, and Acadian was sitting there, and 2 female paramedics, and they said, "You need to get him off that boat. We can't get on that boat without life jackets." And I said, "I'm not moving him unless you put your monitor on him." And she said, "And get a blood pressure." And she's like, "Do you know how to do that? You sound like you know what you're doing." I said, "Yeah, I know what I'm doing." But she handed me this unit that I did not know what I'm doing. I mean,
No, it's,
one of those new life pack deals,
That's
12
true.
lead. And but I got a pressure on him, and his pressure was like 60/40.
Please.
yeah, that's not good.
And that girl jumped on that boat so quick, they got a
Hey,
line
you
on.
don't have your life jacket on. Get off.
Yeah, there's no life jacket needed. She jumped in that boat, started a line on him, and brought him to the hospital. He stayed there for a couple, 3 days, and they let him out. And it happened 3 more times with
I have
us.
a valve issue.
So it happened 3 more times. The second time, I made him get a monitor that they place inside, so that when it happened again, it's a loop. It's on a loop recorder.
Yeah.
And I sailed with him. We did that trip to Key West. We were sailing
Oh,
from.
that was him?
That's him. Yeah.
That's the way I'd have
We
made
got to
it.
Tampa, dude. We got to Tampa, and we're anchored in Tampa Bay, and he had it happen again. And this time I hit him a couple times, and I went down. I'm trying to call the Coast Guard. I couldn't call an ambulance. We're at anchor. We're in Tampa Bay, and I'm calling the Coast Guard, and I hear him, and I was like, damn, I didn't, that wasn't me. So then we called the next day and said, "Hey, can you check that loop recorder?" They looked at it and they said he was in a normal sinus rhythm the whole time.
Bullshit.
But something's happened where he just vasodilates, or and he just loses. You can't get a pulse. You can't feel. What is a pulse? What is it? 60 is your pressure.
Yeah.
And he's below 60, and you can't feel a pulse, but he's got electrical activity.
Is it like ROT or WTPW, or has it got a valve issue, or?
We don't know, man. Well, now we're still dealing with the issue, and so now we have a pacemaker. We just put a pacemaker in him that we hope that that's kind of resolves some of this issue. But
I ain't going on a boat with him, bro. Sorry.
yes, he's interesting. That makes it fun,
He's a pirate, Mike.
Makes for a
If
good
there
story.
ever was a pirate, this man is a pirate. Born 200 years too late.
His house sitting on Back Bay by Keesler, is it?
No, he lives on that boat in
Yeah,
Gulfport.
he lives on his boat, but his wife has a house on Back Bay by Keesler because they got divorced. I'll tell you, well, I won't say anything because he might want to watch. Well, he admit it too. I think she'd have been happy if trying to hold me from waking him back, getting him.
Oh, she didn't want you to hit him.
Don't hit him. I get all of it. I got the boat, the house, and everything.
Mm.
Yeah. No, I like old Fred. That dude became one of my best friends, and man, I sailed my boat more than I did after I sold it. I sailed that boat with him everywhere he went. And then he upgraded to that 420, and he sold my boat, his boat, to his son-in-law who didn't know how to sail, and asked me to teach him. And now I have both of those boats at my disposal, and it's just to sail with, and they're great people, just wonderful people. I couldn't ask for a better setup.
What boat's got the oil issue?
The 42, unfortunately, because it's got a Northern Lights generator sitting right on top of it, and I'm gonna have to pull the engine out, and it's down in the bilge, so I'm gonna have to pull the Northern Lights generator out first to get to.
Damn.
Yeah, I know it's not gonna be fun.
One of these weekends, Mike, we all need to get together, unless we get that boat sold ahead of time. We all need to jump on that boat and go out there around some islands.
Man, I got all the boat time I need for the next couple of months. I'm boated out right now, but I will go.
No, I hear you. It's too hot, man, out there. It's hot and miserable, and the wind's not blowing.
Hey, I'm not opposed to running that damn generator,
Mm.
keeping
Hey,
that AC going.
nah, if you ain't not out in the elements, it ain't boating. That's
Yeah.
like blacktop mutters, man. They use boats are to be in touch with nature.
Yeah. Up on that
Give
fly
us some
bridge.
stories, man. Give us some good shit.
You talking from ambulance days or sailing
Dude,
stories?
look, I'm gonna tell my Joe Remarcik story.
Uh-oh.
So we got offshore going, and you're gonna have to correct me on the name of the platform. But Joe builds this freaking training credential platform. Was it Salesforce?
Uh, th- no, we used Ninth Brain.
Ninth Brain
Yeah.
builds this freaking system that it was probably we probably could have rolled this system out to AMR corporate for credential certification, statistics. I think even damn time cards was in it. I mean, you could go and take all your OSHA courses. You could update. It was phenomenal.
One
Joe, you
stop shopping.
One day we get an email, Ninth Brain's gone.
Joe,
They
you
didn't
built
renew this
that?
subscription. You remember that?
Yeah.
Joe was crying like he found out Santa Claus wasn't real. He had put hundreds, if not 1,000 or more hours into this platform, and it was absolutely the schnizzle, dude. It was bad. You could log in anywhere in the world.
The company went down?
No, AMR didn't renew their subscription. They went to Salesforce, I think is what it was.
Joe,
Chronos.
what did you use to build that? Was it FileMaker or what did you do?
No, no. I mean, it was a bare platform that it was being used AMR wide, but
It
the
really wasn't being used.
well, that's right. The people were refusing to use it, but it was just bare nothing, and it was up to the person over that unit to build it to what they want it to be. Well, I just went wild with this thing, and it had it to where um, I could keep an inventory. That actually I could see exactly what was on a rig by the inventory because it was always live. They would go into Ninth Brain, they would sign in. Each rig had its own little sub page. They did everything. They submitted time cards that way electronically. They submitted everything that way. Well, AMR says, well, the other divisions aren't using it, so we're just going to go with another thing, and I went ballistic.
I mean, we're right on the edge of the oil spill work, which was $100 million gig, and then he had spent I don't know months building this thing, and now all of a sudden he's got to manage how many people? 300 people.
Well, let's see. Well, we had just our own employees. We had what, 50,
Yeah, but
and
when
then the oil spill, we had at any given time about 200.
yeah, so now he's got to find a way to credential them, make sure they're all good to go. They pulled the rug
So
out.
you had their training records, you
Everything.
had
Everything.
inventories, payroll, patient reports, everything going through this system.
Yes.
And
We
they
could
decided not to renew the contract with the company.
But you guys got to understand what like Mike does. I was using it to its well, I thought I was using it to its potential plus, but there was a lot more for me to learn even at the end of all that.
Yeah.
The other divisions, they just looked at it as a chore. So they were like, "Nah." And then they got their wish. The less that they used it, the more AMR thought that it was a waste of money.
Wait. Are you talking ground units?
Ground units could use this for the. As a matter of fact, I take
Is
that
that
back.
is that why AMR they didn't realize that offshore is not like being on a ground unit?
Oh
What
no, they never learned that. That's Mike. They never learned that.
Until they started seeing oil spill revenue, we were just bastard children. But Joe had this system, and then AMR it was not an easy system to build the children or whatever it was called,
Your children's sites.
children sites. It was not easy to do. Therefore, people didn't want to use it at AMR corporate. Well, Joe gets in there and he's nerdy as shit and he's trying to make this shit work great. Next thing you know, Joe's got Ninth Brain, and I think we actually talked to the Ninth Brain company, and Joe had a personal. I mean, he could call and say, "Hey, how do you do this?"
Yep.
He could have trained AMR corporate, but instead they went to go with something else and pulled.
One other division, I will speak up and say one other division, and Mike, you know what I'm talking about. The education department at in Jackson. That dude spent a couple days with me, and I showed him what I was doing, and he went back and he made the whole RCA system.
Entire thing. I remember.
Everything with the RCA system, believe it or not, was electronic through Ninth Brain. And the good part about the Ninth Brain, and Robbie brought up about the credentialing, I had it set to where 90 days out or 60 days out from
You got
when
a flag. They need to get in training.
every single day. I used to get phone calls saying, "Boss, will you shut this thing off?" I said, "Take the class and give me the copy, and I'll shut it off." Until then, you're just gonna have to keep archiving this stuff. And he took on the same thing. So AMR Jackson, the education department, and AMR Onsite, which was mine and Mike's division, were the only two in the entire company nationwide that was using that platform to its potential. So therefore, it wasn't worth the cost, and they got rid of it.
And the licensing for that was probably what, a couple grand a year?
Put it this way, I started using it at the company that I went before we went to our own, just as a stopgap, and we were only paying something like $50 a month, unlimited use
Oh, that's
for less than 10, 12 people, and then $2 a person after that.
It was per
AMR sounds like they function like the damn government.
They do. There was so much fraud, waste, and abuse. I shouldn't say that, but Mike will tell you.
person. Yeah,
Like,
no, that was sad, dude. I mean, I was telling somebody about this the other day. With the insurance adjusting gig I uses Salesforce, and we got to the conversation about Salesforce. And so the company that I'm with right now, you've got a basic level, and you've got a middle level, and an upper level, and an ultimate level. Well, we have to write letters to people who have claims. Well, if you get the upper level, it imports their policy number, their address, their date of premium effective, their date of premium cancel, their deductibles, their excluded. It imports all this into these token letter forms, and you can send it out. Takes 10 seconds. You click what letter you want to send them. Well,
Yeah.
they have the entry level where the spare tire and bumper were optional and air conditioner were optional, I guess. You have to go into the policy manual and got to clip and paste policies out and paste it into it can take 2 hours to send a letter out. They didn't pay for the upgraded model. AMR at least had the Ninth Brain freaking Cadillac. People just
Right.
didn't use it, so they didn't see the justification for spending the money. And it just to this day, we were talking about the other day, and I said, man, they had this program called Ninth Brain. He worked at a medical manufacturing company, and they used Ninth Brain.
No
Let me
kidding.
tell you something. I bet
Yep.
Remarcik, tell me if this is true or not. I bet if you'd have known that they were about to quit paying for that ahead of time, you'd have paid that $50 a month out of your pocket, wouldn't you?
oh hell yeah!
They wouldn't let us do it. We had to migrate off the platform because they
And
said
you, and
security.
you want to talk about in the offshore environment, you want to talk about, and Rob, you have some experience. That was such a marketing tool, and I'll tell
Oh
you
yeah.
why. Because you get those HSC.
Everybody could have it. They had their own page to see everything.
Well, you could give access to outside the company if you want to. Teams can't do that. Salesforce can't do that. Can't do that with any of that. The other thing is, I blew one of the guys the HSE manager out the water, blew his mind. I said, "Ask me how many ibuprofens we dispensed off this particular rig in the last 90 days." He said, "Okay, I'll wait on that." And I says, "Oh, don't worry about it. I already got it for you," while we were talking. Because it queried that fast. He's like, "You got all that information. Information in the offshore environment is key. So if it's at your fingertips, you are the
Absolutely.
lion. You are the king of the jungle. If you have to say, let me get back with you on that, and it takes you 30 days to dig through hard copies, good luck with that. I had electronic they had electronic clinic logs. I could tell
Mm.
you how many people went to the clinic from that particular rig for anything from fungus foot all the way up to cardiac arrest if I needed. It
How
was
many
and
STD treatments did you see on there?
yeah, exactly. You could do that too.
Why
So,
would
And
you ask that, Rob?
sure.
I was a VD clinic on one rig I was on when I was a
I've
medic.
been there and done that. I won't mention the company, not with this company, but
Oh,
uh,
I'm not mentioning the company, but there were four guys. They all worked together. They were all from the same town. They rode down together and everything. They came. They worked for 14 days, and I swear every hitch for like three hitches, they were coming in. I was having to treat all these guys for an STD. The second week, I told them y'all need to find a different girl,
I still
and
say all hitting the same pillow, buddy. They focus.
they were, no doubt. What it was the first time when they came in, I was nice. I'm drawing up Rocephin to give them a gram of Rocephin in each ass cheek, and I'm drawing it up with 1% lidocaine. So
That's
when I
still
shoot it, yeah, it hurts like a son of a bitch when you're putting it in there. But once that stinging goes away, everything's numb. That second time they came in, they were getting normal
a
saline.
lot of cane.
The third time they came in, I was driving that needle through that stopper about 5 or 6 times. Here, take this dull needle in your mouth.
it's funny you mentioned that. I think it's the same medical director you and I had way back when from that company that after like the second time that I called for orders, he said, the medical control says, "Is this the same guy?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, don't use lidocaine. Use barostatic water.
Yeah,
It's not even saline, barostatic water." And I was like, but he goes, "Trust me, you do that, he'll never come back again." And he was right.
yeah.
That wouldn't be Dr. B, would it?
Yeah.
Possibly.
No, not B. No,
Okay. Yeah, he,
no.
So
he didn't take kindly to all that STD stuff. It was between penicillin and Rocephin and what's the one begins with a C? We had to give them
Oh,
We get Celestone for upper
Celestin.
respiratory. We go through that like candy offshore.
That
It gets to the point to where the hands will come up into the clinic and say, "Yeah, I need a Z pack and a shot." Wait a minute, that's not how this works.
we're gonna do an assessment.
Well, then we're gonna call the doctor. But but
But you,
yeah,
I can feel your pain when you're talking about, with all the efforts you put into that work on that database and whatnot. Because I saw a similar thing when I get into animal health. I went from the ER into.
yeah. You didn't get in. You remember I asked you what'd you do when you left the street? You skipped a whole section.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I should mention that. So, that actually brings up an interesting call, and that was I ended up as I was in nursing school. We talked. We worked at Geiger together, or Geiger, and then
Gigger. It's spelled
yeah.
Geiger, but it was Gigger.
And then
It is
as I was
from
finishing nursing school on the coast, I ended up in Loosedale doing some. I was trying to get 48 hours all in one weekend, try to nail it all down so I can do my clinicals and everything else. And I got on one of those ambulances that was out of the hospital. It was run out of a hospital. It wasn't a privately
What
run.
ambulance service? Private. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you remember, we all had, we had these little rubber ports. I don't know if you can see that rubber port, and those little rubber ports, and we're on our IV sets on the Y side. And, if you had to give an injection, you just stuck your needle right into that Y site, right? Well, I'm working that, 48-hour shift, and I'm really not familiar with their equipment or anything in this area. And I get a full code, and I got there and loaded up these Bristojet syringes of epi, and I stuck the needle into one of these guys. Have you recognized that?
Oh yeah.
Well, I
Not
stuck the
me.
needle into that, and it's actually this device exactly because this guy and I became family. I stuck this thing into this device and the needle, and it's spraying epinephrine everywhere. And it happened to be that, I was like, all right, well, we'll just put these drugs down the tube. But the guy was a CHF.
Yeah.
So he's already bubbling out of the
Full,
tube,
yeah.
trying to get drugs down. It was just a disaster. And
You hit
so
him with a demand valve and push it through.
I didn't have demand valve at the time.
Yeah.
So
That's the good old days there.
I went to the hospital and I said, whatever this thing is, this is the worst device I've ever seen in my life. And she said, that's needle free. And I was like, what is needle free? I ain't never heard of needle free. And so a little bit down the road, I told you my dad's a veterinarian, and my dad would just do anything for one of his clients, right? Especially one of his rich clients. And he had this one that had a cat that had renal failure. And well, cats can't get dialysis. Well, now they can. But at the time, you couldn't do dialysis on a cat. So you would give them sub-Q fluids, and you could run as much fluid. You can't overload a cat with sub-Q fluids, right? Because they're just going to absorb what they need.
Right.
And so, but and that can give another 3 years to a cat's life. Well, my dad, it's painful to the cat, and the cat goes and hides in the closet. So my dad makes a soaker hose, let's call it, that goes sub-Q, and it had just a little injection port like this one that went on the end of it, and it worked perfectly. And the cats would tolerate they didn't have to get stuck with a needle, and my dad was real happy with it, but it would get infected every maybe month or so, and he was having to replace.
The sub Q was the couple inches.
No, we're talking about almost a 12-inch tube that went down there.
Ran on the
Ran
back.
down their back.
Ran down sub Q, would place it with a stylet, and
Ah.
and it was working really well. And he said, we got to keep infection out of this. How do we keep infection out of it? And I said, well, we use these things in the ER now, and it was the microclave, which ICU Medical made, and it was actually an old doctor that his mentor had a needle stick and died from it, from liver disease, hepatitis. And so he said, let's put the needle inside of the rubber. So he took that needle and made it inside.
Right.
So when the syringe goes down, the needle goes inside the syringe. And it's a very aseptic way of transfer. And so we put that on that gift tube, we called it, Greta implantable fluid tube, because Greta was the first cat that ever got it. And so we put that on that tube, and it lasted a year.
No kidding.
A year.
All from the needle.
Yeah, no needles, man. The cat, you'd hang the bag. Instead of the cat going and hiding under the bed, the cat would come and lay underneath the fluid bag because it felt better after getting his fluid. And so I'm seeing all this, and I'm like, Dad, we need to make a business out of this. And he's like, nah. He said, I'm happy with my veterinary hospital. I'm not starting a new business. And I was like, I'm miserable being an ER nurse. I'm willing to start a business. Let's try. And dude, I said, man, I started a business, and all of a sudden, products started. I started getting innovative along with my dad. I made a ambulatory chest tube. Dog could go home with a chest tube. I ended up, after I sold that business, what I was going to tell Joe, I kind of felt this pain after I sold Practivet. It was a family-owned business, and families working together, it's tough on the family. So
Right.
we felt it was better maybe that we just sold the business and we all kind of take that and go our way. And, we found our niche. And my niche was really working with products and devices and needle free, believe it or not. And so the company that makes these hired me as their director to come in.
The guy that hated them.
Animal health division. And I'll tell you, it's funny. I probably shouldn't even say this, but if one of them watching. And at the time, I was a distributor rep, and man, I'm making maybe $50,000 a year. Still as more than I was as a paramedic, but I'm paying all my own expenses. I'm putting thousands of miles on my car, and this company calls me. It was right after Katrina, and most of my hospitals along the coast, the vet hospitals, they got washed away, and their best customers, when they evacuated, they put their dogs in the kennels at the vet hospitals that all went underwater. So it was a disaster, and I thought, oh my business is done here, and this company's CEO calls me and he says, "Hey, wanted to check on you after the storm, and make sure you're okay." And I was like, "Yeah, we're good, but all these hospitals are wiped out." And he said, "I'm thinking of starting an animal health division. I'd like you to come work for me." Offered me 150 grand a year, $100,000 uh, expense account, and I mean, and I was like, "This guy's got to be kidding. This has got to be a joke, And no,
When did
man.
that start?
And man, that's what I did. I went out and I did that for about 13 years. But
Dude. I
I was going to tell Joe, I got into this, and this is about the time the iPads are coming out and iPhones and Facebook. And I saw, we, as a manufacturer, we print all of our literature. And, if I want to sell you this syringe, I'm going to, give you all the features and advantages of that syringe on a piece of literature. I'm going to have that printed out, and I'm going to hand it to all my salespeople to go and give to the clinicians. And we spent a lot of money printing literature and sending it all around. And I thought, all this could be done digitally. And with Facebook, we all have connections.
Yep.
And so I came up with a business plan and I presented it to some of these big distributors. I mean, I'm talking like Henry Schein and Patterson, if you know some of those.
Mm.
And and they were like, "Man, we love this idea. As a matter of fact, we might give you some investors to go build this out." And next thing you know, I got a handful of investors and $2 million in my pocket to go and build out my idea. And spent 2 years building it. Yeah, I spent 2 years building. Mariana came in and helped me.
Wow.
Mariana, yeah, she came in and we built it. It was called NoteStreamer. It was called NoteStreamer, and it was all your documents. And so you go in, instead of handing a piece of paper, you detail off your iPad. You could write notes on it and then send it to that doctor. And the manufacturer would know how many people read the document and how many people were sharing it and what was written on their documents, instead of just printing all this literature and mailing it out and not knowing where it went. Now they had all this feedback, right? And like Joe, it's a great tool. Everybody saw it, said, "Man, this is fantastic." The CRM was passive. It wasn't active. You didn't have to go spend a bunch of time like you did on Salesforce, put all this information in. And everybody loved it, all the way up to the CEO of Henry Schein. He says, "As long as we're not paying for it." I was like, "Well, no, you're not paying for it. You're the bait."
Money off of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna make money over you. It's the manufacturers that are printing all this literature that are gonna pay me 20 grand a month, and they're gonna be happy to do it because they're gonna save 80 grand a month. And everybody was on board until it got to the IT people that said, "Wait, this is making the whole company where there's no people
They don't
stealing."
need us.
Next thing you know, that whole, and man, let me tell you, it went through a lot of different manufacturers that thought it was a great idea, but not a single distributor that would take it on, because they were worried that it was the same as all their other distributors and they couldn't just set it apart. Even though we tried, we said, "Yeah, we'll do something special with your name on it," and that whole $2 million went down the drain. And it did for years. Many people tried, even not my company. They tried to do something similar, and it still. I was at a conference about 2 years ago, and this goes back to 2010 when that happened, by the way. And it was 2 years ago, and a big company came out trying to sell that same technology, that same type of, you could see what was read, you could see what your customers are seeing, and it failed big time.
I can't believe that something like that. It's like the QR codes on your TV screen today. Man, you know, somebody to scan a code, dude. It is unbelievable what a QR code can do.
Oh,
And
we've got signs for the historical route around work, and when you go up to these signs, you read the QR code, and it takes you to a page, and it tells you historically what happened here, what dates, who was involved, and all that. And we now have QR codes where you pull up, you hit the QR code, and it tells you about this threatened species that's out there, and it tells you all about that species and what's being done to help restore it. So yeah,
You don't need QR codes are going to be the thing of the past, because now all they need is a picture. It's just for example, I have these IV pumps, and I want to make an IV line. I want to make an app that can look at the IV pump and just look at the screen from a 1970s IV pump. And it knows because I've told it, I've taken a picture of that screen before and I've told it, this is the IV line you need require to have. Here's
That's an
the,
IVAC.
and I'm telling you, it's called OCR. Yeah, OCR, and all it does is takes a picture. It doesn't even require the QR codes any longer. Now, QR code's quicker and more reliable, but you don't even need that anymore, and that's going to be the future. That's the AI.
We were in New York City last week for a wedding in Jersey Shore for a friend for the wedding. We went to New York City 3 or 4 times. I don't think I touched a menu, and I only had a bill brought to me one time. You QR, you read the QR on the table, menus on your phone, takes you to an order screen. You order on your phone, pay your bill on your phone. You had a relationship established with your phone to that QR code.
Did they make you bust your own table?
Yeah.
No, but if you needed something, you could literally go into your QR page and call a waitress.
No.
I'm just having the neatest shit I've ever seen. But
That's
I said,
look. I'm telling you what. The last time I've gone into Lowe's and they've got all this damn check yourself out. I'm like, no, I want to go to a cash register. Well, they don't have anybody at the cash register anymore.
they rude fuckers if they are there.
Yeah, well, so I mean, shit. When I finally do get to one that was there, and I'm paying, and I said, hey, when do I have to be here to unload the truck? You know, because I mean, you're making me ring my own shit up. When do I have to be here to unload the truck, and do I get an employee discount for this?
Well, one thing that we'll never have to worry about, the ambulance industry will never have to worry about AI as a whole, because, and I got a good example. That's actually a story of mine that doesn't. And when you teach AI to do something, it will do exactly. It will vary to a point, but it doesn't have an attitude where it'll all out just go against a mandate to get the ends to the means. And what I mean by that, what I did one day in Bay St. Louis, AI would never do. We get called to a seizure call, and so I go out there with my partner, and I'm not going to mention the name, but the partner was about worthless. I come walking through the door, and this is back in the old days. You got the Life Pack 10s, still had the paddles, and walk in. It was a seizure call. Yeah, he sees it on the floor. He sees it on the floor. And I look down at this guy, and he is about as purple as can be. And I'm thinking to myself, if he's that's got to be one heck of a postictal state, or he's not breathing. And so I go over there. Sure enough, he's not breathing. Shock him 3 times. He was in VFib, stays in VFib. I go to intubate him. He bites down on the blade. I can't
Uh,
get him to. Evidently, my 3 shocks and switching over to the head, he done regained actually Ross, not just a rhythm. He actually got Ross,
Really?
and so I had to bag him. By that time, my backup comes in, and he's a assistant field supervisor, Jason Carter.
Okay, but
So Carter comes in there, and he's got a student with him, right? And I had already bolused him with lidocaine and all. And I says, all right, well, we need to go. And he says, okay, well, do I need you to do anything? I says, yeah, hang me that line of for the lidocaine drip. Now, keep in mind, and Mike remembers these days, and so does Scott. There was a time that you did not give lidocaine drip without an order. You can do all the other ACLS stuff, but you better not hang that drip without calling med control first. Well, I had no phone. Repeater in the truck didn't work. Couldn't get Jason's repeater to work. We had no way of communicating with medical control. This is where AI would be different. AI would say, just transport. That's as far as we can go. What does Joe Remarcik say? Screw it.
no,
I ain't gonna let
get
this guy
fire
die.
me.
get
You're
get.
gonna fire me for saving somebody. Okay, I'll take that.
That's
Exactly.
right. I'll take that firing.
So I went ahead and started the drip. Jason was standing right there with me, man. By the time we were gotten out into the ambulance, I had his student bagging, And she's like, "Can he hear us? Do you think?" And I says, and he had a good
Yes.
strong pulse. And I says, "Well, watch this." And I says, "Hey, I don't remember the guy's name, Mister So and So. If you can hear me, move your feet back and forth." I didn't think he was going to do it. He did it, and she about flipped out. He was sitting up at Hancock Medical Center asking for a cup of coffee,
That's
getting
awesome.
ready getting ready to be transferred
Right.
to Oshner's. And I go up to the doc and say, "Well, here's my report." He says, "Well, I got to sign that." And I says, "No, you can't because I didn't get any orders from you." He says, "We started a line. You can't start a line without an order." And I says, "Well, I understand that, but I didn't get there." He grabs the clipboard and he signs it. So I'm not going to have somebody get fired for saving somebody's life. Lo and behold, the next run review, our medical director at the time changed it and said, "Forget that. If you defibrillate somebody and get a pulse back, Bolson will lidocaine and hand the drip."
Yeah.
Policy
Joe,
policy was changed.
And you hung the drip.
I have, yeah, but I did it under
I know. I
the old
remember
way.
that.
I remember I did it the old way. I was under the old regime where you had to have the order. I went through all that, and I was fearless. I said, "I don't care. You can fire me, but I'm following ACLS protocol." And on top of that, I had just helped teach an ACLS class at Memorial the week
Your
before.
brain's clicking, bro.
Yeah.
Hey Joe, that reminds me, you had a similar save in Ocean Springs that I backed you up on, and
Yeah.
tell that story. That was a good one. That was a really good one.
So me and old Rusty Swingle, we were working together,
Yeah,
and we were working Ocean Springs, and it was a Saturday, and we get called to the Ocean Spring Country Club. So we head out, we get in there, and I mean it. I'm thinking, where are we going to the? What hole are we going? No, it was at the tennis courts. So we go find our way to the tennis court. I get out there. This dude is laid out on the tennis court in a puddle of water.
he's a
Just
position.
yeah,
He's a position.
the it what yeah it was the Keesler Air Force Base nurses and doctors annual tournament that they have. Well, the guy that's in cardiac arrest, he's laid out in a pool of water. And I'm like, what is that? I said, well, what is going on here? And one of the other people says, well, we thought he just was overheated, so we dumped water on him. I was like, oh, okay. I go to get the paddles, and all I'm gonna
Ooh.
do, I'm not gonna shock him. I'm smarter than that. I'm just gonna get a quick look to see, do we need to move him right this second, or can I do a couple things?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And and so I take the paddles out, but of course there is a doctor there,
He
and he's
starts
like, "Don't
freaking.
shock him. You're gonna light us all up." I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, calm down. I'm just doing a quick look." Well, he was in fib. Me and Rusty move him out of the water. I shock him 3 times. By that time, I look over, and one of the doctors who was moonlighting at one of the local hospitals, but he was an Air Force doc, but we all know him, Dr. Fuchsia.
Oh,
Uh,
I love you.
he was going through my bag, and he says he finds an airman roll, and I says, "What you doing, doc?" He says, "Well, I'm going to hit the band." I said, "You willing to ride in with me?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "All right, go ahead." So he gets down there. He's trying to intubate. He can't see the cords. The other doc,
Imagine
who
that.
keep in mind they're nephrologists, right? Except for Dr. Fuchsia. Dr. Fuchsia works in the ER. So the nephrologist tries, and he can't do it. And so finally, Dr. Fuchsia says, "Let him do it. He's probably done this more times than we have, anyways." So I tubed him. By this time, here
Please
comes
tell me
Scott.
you got it very easy and
Oh
quick.
yeah.
First try. I mean, it was just up and in. That was
Good
it.
job. Okay.
So you're a Miller.
And
You're a Miller guy too, then.
me, no, I'm a
You're a
Mac.
Mac.
Yeah, of
I
course it's
hooked that
back.
molecular and lifted straight up in the air, and there it was.
Yeah.
I'm a Miller dude. You give me a number 4 Miller, I'm looking right at the cords, dude.
No, no. So
I'll
here
pick.
comes
I'll pick. I'll pull shoulders up off the table to get out there.
No, I had the hook, but next thing I know, I got an IV. I had Rusty start the IV because he was an intermediate. We'd already given one round of epi. Here comes Scott and the Raging Cajun Mark, and
Landry.
yeah,
Yeah, he was a
so
great guy. He was a great
he
partner.
was he was a great partner to have. I worked with him a couple times. But here they
He was a tall bayou boy, tall, dark hair, bayou
dark it.
from
Your
That's
typical
not.
if you looked up coon ass in the
Yeah.
dictionary, it'd be a picture of Mark.
What are you talking
He was
about?
my partner for quite some time.
Yeah. So yeah, he came over from the AmServe move. He was AmServe before he came over.
Mark
Right.
Mark who?
Landry.
Mark
Okay.
Landry. Rob, he was after you, bro.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so you got the round of drugs in, and
Well, we get a pulse back. Me and Saint Germain bolus in with lidocaine, and then all of a sudden we get a pulse back. So we're wrapping him up to go. Fuchsia rides in with us. Saint Germain tells the other doctor he can't ride, and he's arguing with Saint Germain, and he just kind of turns his back, and Rusty shut the doors and kind of told that doctor where to go. We get in the back, we can't find a blood pressure, or we can't find a good one. So Scott, didn't you hang a bag of dopamine?
Yeah, that was my
That's
favorite
his
drug.
favorite drug.
That's what you were waiting for me to get to that part. That's like, well,
Yeah, I
hell.
hung dopamine. I would beg for dopamine. That was my favorite thing
Well,
to call.
Dr. Fuchsia
Shark
was sitting right.
dopamine.
Dr. Fuchsia was sitting right there, and then the doctor at Ocean Springs Hospital, I want to say it was Barkdale, and I give him my report and asking him for the orders. He goes, Dr. Barksdale says, "Well, you got a physician with you. What'd you call me for? What's your ETA? Get back to work." And so we hung up the radio, and Fuchsia says, "Yeah, I'll sign. I'll sign." So Scott starts the dopamine drip. That guy ended up being transferred to Singing River.
I transferred him.
Oh, that's right, you did.
I transferred him. He was talking. He talked to me on the way to the Singing River.
but there was Cathany.
Yeah, they did a
Yes.
cap. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Story.
that was the first time that me and Scott had ever actually backed up each other.
Yeah.
Now, the one time, and I got to get this story out. This does not have a patient involved.
Okay.
I get a chest pain call, and I bring it to Ocean Springs, and I actually push morphine, so I have to wait around for the signet to get the signature. Well, it
Right.
was that one doctor, I can't, Dr. Dale. He will not sign your report at all if it's not 100% completely done down to the last
He was
period.
always that
Letter.
way.
Right.
Cross the T's, dot the I's.
Exactly. And if he found a dotted I that wasn't dotted, he wouldn't sign it. So that made I think it was Bonnie was working. She was mad. She's trying to get me out of the ER. No, I'm not leaving until I get this. I pushed narcotic. So finally, she says, "All right, well, I gotta have you guys get out of there anyways. You need to go switch units with Unit 36. Why? They're overheating."
Oh, that was us.
Yeah, it was you and Mark.
I
It was
remember
you and
that.
Mark. And me and
Yeah.
Birdine were working together,
Oh my God.
ready to get off at midnight.
Yep.
So they give us the address. It was somewhere off of Groveland, right there by the hospital. So we go, we looked out. We could when Birdine and I got into the rig, we can smell it's hot. You didn't have to look at the temperature gauge.
Yeah.
And so here's Scott, moving stuff over. Their patient's about ready to be loaded up in our unit. So we start going, and I'm thinking to Bert, and I says, "Man, we need to like stop. I mean, this thing is not going to make it." And he's like, "Oh, I agree." So he gets on the radio. Bonnie was stern and said, "You have to bring that to the 10-8 to the interplex, 10-8 to the interplex." Okay, okay. Well, we get to Washington and the
I
interflow.
remember this now. Y'all caught on fire, didn't you?
All of a sudden, we hear this boom, and instantly the cab was filling up with what I thought was
I
smoke.
remember that. Yeah.
And so I guess out of habit, I hit the repeater, grab the portable, jump out. Birdeye jumps out. They call the fire department. They get there, and so they're putting it out. Come to find out, I don't know. I guess it blew a hose or something, but it seized the engine.
Yeah.
It didn't do it. So I'm thinking to myself the whole way back to the Enterplex, that damn Scott, if he wouldn't have given me this piece of crap ambulance. But then I had more things to worry about because the supervisor driving us was talking to Birdine saying things like, "Well, what were you thinking it was being that hot?" Birdine's like, "But they told us to drive it back." And the supervisor kept saying, "I know that, but aren't you?" I was like, "Oh, will you please shut
Had to
up?
be Rick.
Birdine's
Had to
going
be
to
Rick.
hit this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Birdine is going to flip out and hurt this guy."
Yeah, I had to be Rick.
I was just like, will you shut up? Wait till we get back to the Interplex. But no, I'll never forgive Scott that day for giving me that broken ambulance.
I remember that. I knew where you were going when I heard with Mark. Yep.
All right. So, Mike, you just said you have a story you want to tell. I want to hear it.
Joe, you talking about AI and crap. Chris Arsmith and I, Hancock County. He was
He was my roommate.
he I don't think he was your roommate then. He was still living at George and Ruth's house.
Okay.
Because we would go by there and get lunch all the time.
They're wonderful people, weren't they?
Great people. Took care of us.
God, they were
I
awesome.
never missed a meal, man.
Still are. They're still alive.
I didn't know if they were still alive or not,
Yeah,
but she took care of Art Smith, as I called him, and took care of his partner, Mike.
Yeah.
So we're in Bay St. Louis, and we get a call to an unknown at LaFrance's fish camp.
Okay.
It's
603.
no, it's even it's you go way out Highway 90 and you turn at the old alligator. and
Oh
you're
yeah, yep. I know exactly where you're
out
at.
in-
Oh yeah, over in Lakeshore.
You're almost in Louisiana.
Yeah, you can throw a rock across the bayou and you're in Louisiana.
Right.
We were in an old truck. It reminded me when you said your shit overheated on you. We get out there. It ain't unknown no more. He done fell out. They doing CPR on him. I said, Chris, go call for some backup.
Did you run code out there? Well, because unknowns, sometimes you went out there just no lights and
No,
sirens.
we ran lights and siren. We were code 3. And that they didn't have a lot of information, but it sounded bad. Don't know why PD or SO and Hancock volunteer didn't roll, Shoreline Park or whatever they were called. We get out there. I said, Chris, call for backup. There ain't no cell service out there. You didn't have cells back then.
Right.
They had a phone line, I guess, but I don't know if it worked or not. Chris goes to the ambulance, call for backup. I got a tube in him, and I got this lady doing CPR. He says, we ain't got any battery power. The diesel is running.
Well, of course they would, right?
No emergency lights, no radio, no onboard suction in the back.
12-volt systems down.
Yep.
It is a total electrical failure. No repeater, no nothing. And I'm not going to get into the whole story, but I'm going to just tell you that Art Smith, that's what I called him, Art Smith, was in pilot training.
Yeah.
Art Smith reaches into his bag and pulls out a fucking FAA walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
He calls anybody on the frequency. We get a freaking landline through Chris's little bitty handheld FAA radio, but we're so far away from Stennis, so far away from Gulfport, so far away from it's like we're going around the backside of the moon.
Right.
They don't know what's going on. We lost complete radio signal until we're at Drinkwater in 90.
Wow.
And apparently so, and Chris can probably give you every detail about it, but somebody from the FAA has been trying to call this radio from LaFrance's fish camp to Drinkwater in 90. And they've got mobile medic, I think.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's still mobile medic. Is
was-
on the line. They're trying to patch us through the FAA tower in Gulfport. That's the craziest shit I've ever been involved. He says, hold on a minute. He's like MacGyver. I just airplane radio. Let me see if I can get in touch with him.
Chris was MacGyver. I tell you, Chris was a great roommate. When I came down from Washington Parish Ambulance Service to go to paramedic school, Chris Arsmith was the smartest guy in the class, right? And
Really?
that was my challenge.
Did you ever race him on the crossword puzzle?
Oh, I would never. No.
No, we were neck and neck, dude.
But what I did learn is if I studied and I got in study groups with Chris, then I could try to get to his level. And so he would challenge me, or I was challenged by him to always try to beat him. We ended up becoming roommates. And man, we lived together, man, a couple of years at least. So we got to paramedic school, and man, he was a good medic. He's a nurse practitioner and doing urgent cares. I keep up with him. He lives out in Diamond Head.
I'm telling you, one of the smartest guys I've
Oh
ever.
yeah, he was, you know, he really was. He was should have gone to medical school.
Yeah,
And
he went too late.
yeah, but he wasn't interested in that. He wanted to go. He loved pre-hospital. He loved, you know, working the ambulance.
He was a driver.
Yeah,
He started with me.
yeah,
And we would fight because the Sun Herald had the crossword puzzles in it.
yeah,
I brought the paper with me every day because George and Ruth had to have the paper at their house. So
yeah,
I brought my paper from the house, and I don't care if we had a cardiac arrest or a GI bleed, it didn't matter. The first thing he did when we got to the hospital was get the paper out of my bag and go inside and make a copy of the crossword puzzle. And we're going to have a contest when we get to the next post about who gets it done quicker.
yeah. There was no way I was playing. I would no.
He was
Yeah.
profoundly.
Let me tell you about his pilot skills. Okay, so actually, he got his pilot's license at 16 years old. Okay, and so at this time, I'm in paramedic school. I was 19. I'm going on 20, and I had, you know, I've flown in commercial planes, but I've never been in a small plane. And we're roommates, and he's like, "Hey man, you want to go flying today?" I was like, "What are you telling me?" And he's like, "Oh, I can go rent us a plane out
Go to the airport and rent a plane.
at Diamond Head."
Yeah,
We go to
awesome.
Diamond Head. And he said, "We can rent a plane." And I was like for what? How much? And he's like, "Oh, $100, man. We go up there and let me go show." I was like, "Well, let's go." So we go up there. We get up to 10,000 feet over base St. Louis, and he puts us in a spin, which he goes up into a stall, and once it stalls, he goes full right rudder,
Kicks
and
it
then
up.
you're doing this, right? And I mean, I'm looking at a marker. I'm looking at the red marker over base St. Louis, and I mean, we're spinning down, and I'm thinking we're about to die. I'm weightless in this plane.
Yeah.
And man, Chris is he's got it, dude. He pulls us out of this spin. He's all smiles. We go and we land the plane, and the guy
I'd
who's
have
coming,
whooped his ass when I
yeah,
got on the
yeah.
ground.
The guy,
He knew that plane. He knew more about that plane than the plane knew about itself.
yeah, you're right, exactly. But look, that plane's not meant to go inverted. It's
Oh,
a Cessna, right? So
that's
the guy comes out to check out the hours because we had to pay per, you know, the hours on the
Yeah.
Hobbs.
Hobbs, yeah. So he comes out to check it, and he looks at the air, the what do you call that? Artificial horizon. It was upside down.
Yeah, it
And he
rolled.
looked at us and he goes, "You guys went inverted." And all I could think of was Top Gun, you know, the inverted, you know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, fuck yeah, we went inverted. In a Cessna, Chris got me inverted over Bay St. Louis. It was lucky we didn't fall apart and break apart across Bay St. Louis.
I can't remember the first time we did it, but I swear to you, we were about 200 feet above past Christian Isles Golf Course, #1 fairway. Because their house was,
Yep.
it was right near the fair. Anyway,
Yep.
but
And Pastor
that
Sam.
was my story about Art Smith. That son of a bitch. Whew.
Yeah, I need to get him on here. Chris is a great guy. I enjoy his company. He was
He had the most dry humor of anybody I've ever met. He would look at you with he had that big teeth and they're kind of big, and he'd just kind of look at you with a little cockeyed smile like, "You dumb fuck, what are you doing?"
yeah. But I tell you what, if you needed a paramedic, that's the one you wanted.
I never got to work with him when he was a
Oh,
paramedic.
he was a great paramedic. I didn't work with him much either as a paramedic, of course, but I mean, I did work with him a couple of times. Boy, he was smart. Yeah, that guy, he was
Was
really.
he smarter than Joe Jones at pharmacology?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was smarter than
Damn,
Dr.
that's
Apple.
pretty damn
Apple-
smart if he could out.
God, do you know who Joe Jones is?
Mike?
Joe
No,
Jones.
no.
He
Joe Jones probably could have taught pharmacology to pharmacy students.
walking PDF.
He knew every interaction, contraindication, reversal, dose. Loaded.
Yeah, I'd put Chris up against him, dude. That guy.
I'm just saying that I would love to have Joe and Chris on here, Rob, and let
Yeah,
them start.
that would be good. I'll get Chris. Y'all get Joe.
Do you have Joe's contact,
UFC
Mike?
I don't do what, Joe?
He's the UFC of pharmacology.
Yeah, to be the UFC of pharmacology.
No, he is the Tabor's Medical Dictionary of Pharmacology. Joe Jones. I'm telling you, and Chris was smart, but I never did get to deal with him from a paramedic level as a peer. And I know he was smart, but I'm telling you something that between paramedic school and ACLS class, I mean, look, ACLS instructors, if Joe spoke, they just shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Mike, let me ask you this. Some of the best paramedics that you ever worked with, were they the smartest people in the world? I didn't think that
Oh,
they
no,
were.
no, no, no. Joe's a rare exception. Joe is a phenomenal paramedic who could medically treat, pharmacologically treat a patient better than the doctor at the hospital. He would tell the doctor on state net
Yeah.
what we needed to do because of this condition with that patient. He was that, and I guess some people just get it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm titrating that shit to a fucking effect.
I mean, he was telling me drugs that we didn't have, we had no reason for knowing about when we had an OD on a tricyclid antidepressant. And he went in, he told that ER doc, you need to get this, and you need to hang it this way.
Magnesium.
Hey, look, can y'all see, where's my camera at? It's up here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You see the little orange hanging out of there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is in my martini. I'm changing the subject, Remarcik, 1 second. So we were in New York last week, like I was saying, and Madison and I love pickles and stuff. And on the edge between Chinatown and Little Italy is a 15-foot wide building, 40 feet long. And we walked by, I'm like, she says, Dad, I smell pickles.
It was olives.
I do too. So we go back and we look in this window. You can smell the vinegar coming through the glass. She said, can we go in there? I'm like, Laura, come here. We're going inside. We got 50 25-gallon food grade barrels on the floor. They got olives from green to Scotch bonnet, which is what that pepper is.
Mm-hmm.
They got pickles from straight brine cucumbers to sweet dills. They got pineapple with clove in it. They got daikon radishes. They got pickled beets. They've got pickled Brussels. We ended up spending $200 in there. I didn't taste. He said, what do you want? I said, man, give me the hottest olive you got. I didn't think it was going to be a Scotch bonnet pepper inside of it.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting home from New Orleans or from the airport about 1 o'clock in the morning last Monday. And I said, baby, I got to try one of these martinis. She says, at 1 in the morning? I said, I'm going to make me a 1 olive, little bitty splash of martini. Dude, I'm shitting fire a week later. These things flavor it great, but to eat one, you just better strap down, buckle your seat.
You know the Scotch bonnet peppers is one of the key ingredients in jerk seasoning, huh?
I don't care what it's a key ingredient in that olive that makes that sapphire martini really, really good.
I got you.
So
all
anyway,
right, so
we're done for the night. Y'all talk.
So one of the things that I was going to bring up, I said I've got something. I saw this post on Facebook, and it said 10 things I notice in first responder clients as a therapist. And I said, oh, okay. So I got to looking at this list, and it's not 10, it's 8.
They wear glasses.
Well, when they get to be our age, they do.
Yeah, right.
And when I've got to read, I do. So raise your hand if this is true about you. You're calm in a crisis, but lost in stillness. You know exactly what to do in chaos, but when things finally quiet down, that's when your panic can set in.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Hell no. Dude, I am chill.
You are. But nobody said you were normal. All right.
You're blessed.
One night, one of the first shows, we were talking with, I don't remember who it was.
I watched the shows. I saw you. I saw y'all talking about that. Yeah.
And I literally said, you know, guys, the second I left the office,
Yep.
Yeah, you put it behind you.
gone. And so anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's
But
number?
no, you know, let me just I want to expand on what you just said because for 20 years when I was the same way, man. Rob and I were talking about this weekend. You know, I mean, we did a call. You dropped it off at the hospital, and you were done with it. It was out of your mind.
Because you had another one coming.
I'll tell you, yeah. And for 20 years, I was out in 2000. I was in the ER by 2000, and and then I started Practivet in 2000. So I was out then. So, but in 2019, I started feeling some repercussions of it. And I'll tell you, we'll go a little deep here.
Go ahead.
I actually told Rob about this. Washington Parish Ambulance Service. I was just just got my EMT. I had never really seen death or anything, and my very first call was my first 911 call that I had. I wasn't even supposed to be running 911 because it was a double basic unit. It's just two EMTs on it. Me and Relda Reagan, Rob, and we got called to this, and it was a guy in his 60s in his bedroom, just for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason was, but he just decided that was the time and put a gun to his head. And you know what that
hey, self-deleted.
Yeah, he self-deleted himself.
Self-delete.
Yeah. Self-delete. And
YouTube doesn't like certain words.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what that room looks like,
Oh yeah.
right? Because it was to the head.
Yeah, splatter.
And so, every wall, right? And I walk in this it's the first time I've ever seen anything like this. And I'm 19 years old. And I just turned around and walked out. And man, I was emotional. Man, I was crying, weeping. And Relda comes out there and she says, "Man, that's a good thing. You hold on to that." She said, "Don't let that go away." And she said, "Emotions are the best thing. You express that." That was the last time I wish I could have taken that advice. That was the last time I ever showed any emotion on a call. And I never did for 20 years, never even thought about the calls, never did. But in 2019, stuff started revisiting. And it was like, I was telling Rob, some people say, well, it's like a panic attack. But no, this isn't a panic attack. This is like that. I would describe it as that first time you were in the ambulance as a paramedic with a basic on board. Yeah, you were the man in charge. Everything was on you, and you got that call. That call that scared the shit out of you. The one that put you're jumping into fight or flight, and you feel it throughout your whole body. I'll jump into that for about 10 seconds, and then it's like I go post-ictal for the rest of the day. And it's and so I didn't start experiencing. And Rob and I had some conversation about that, and so I thought, well, that'd be good, something that we can mention. But I saw that in one of your first videos that you never experienced that.
Man, I'm not saying I have not experienced it. It is look, I've had SIDS deaths. I've had permanent deletions in the attics in the summertime.
Burns.
I've had
Road rash.
Road rash. I've had descullifications. I've had wives rearranged. But it's there, and I am as compassionate as all get out. I care about the patient, but burnout is nothing that ever even crossed my mind, and I don't know why. But I reckon Lori and I being in the medical field, raising kids, I can't leave the Interplex Parkway pissed off or upset or cry and walk in the door and take 3 kids to the baseball field for 4 hours and coach 2 teams of kids.
Right.
And I guess somewhere in my
You compartmentalized it, dude. You
no,
had
I don't
shit to
think I
do.
compartmentalized it. I think I rationalized it to the fact that there's nothing I can do after the call.
They're
Yeah.
right, right. And I thought the same thing, Mike. And I, whether it's rationalized or compartmentalized, again, I never shed another tear after that day. And then 20 years later, that emotional side of me came back. It came back, and it wasn't because I was having flashbacks to any certain call or anything like that. It was just this emotional person that I was actually came back. But then, it did start to generate some, well, why is this? And yeah, maybe is it PTSD or is it just, old age?
I don't know. Look, so Taylor, our oldest boy, dated a girl on New Year's Eve, 1980, or New Year's Day, 1986. So 6 months after I started on the ambulance, we get a call to Suzette Drive, which is by Automall Parkway in D'Iberville, to a cardiac arrest. And it is their special needs kid who's dead. Well, turns out years later, and I knew these people, but I didn't ever tie it together. The Burger restaurant, and the girl that Taylor dated. I said, "Man, I think I picked up your uncle." And maybe tying that back together, but and I've said this before, and it's very personal, but I did CPR on my mother. I got a call to my mother who died of a fucking heart attack. So I did CPR on her. And I guess if I moved on from that, there's not a whole lot more
Yeah.
that's grabbed your psyche and mind fuck you for the rest of your life than that. And I rationalized it in the sense that it was time to go. I did my job and I moved
Yeah,
forward.
we were always there to do no harm. We're there to do good,
And, and,
and that's all we
and
were
it
there
just
to
happened
do.
to be my mother. And if I could do my job on her, I think that somewhere in the back of my brain, my medulla oblongata, or whatever he calls it, says that, hey man, you do your job and you do the best you can. And once you're done with that job, move on. And fortunately for me, Scott, and I have not had any stuff. And Joe, I want to ask you in a second, because you've been through the ring with a bunch of different things. Um, it has not affected my social abilities, I don't think.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'm not an alcoholic. I may be. I don't know.
You're not practicing. You're a drunk.
I'm not.
Alcoholics have to go to those damn meetings.
Practicing
I'm an
drinking.
expert.
But yeah, it's really weird, Scott, that you just said all this, and we had this discussion, and you happened to see that episode. But it's. I would have partners say, "Dude, man, this is just wearing me out." What the fuck's wearing you out, dude? You got to work 10 or 12 hours in a day. You get paid 90% of the time. You're sitting on your ass doing nothing. Out of 12 hours, you may work 3 or 4 hours in the day. What job is easier than that? Oh, dude, we deal with this and this and it. It's your job, bruh.
Yeah. You signed up for it. Can't say you didn't.
Oh,
So
look, it was the best experience I ever. I mean, I'm so glad to have that experience behind. I'll tell you, I walked out of that, and as you know, I got into animal health,
yeah,
and man, I'll walk into a hospital and jump into a dog code quicker than anybody. And the veterinarians, I can gain some serious respect when I start coding dog with them, and start running the code, calling for drugs, and it was a great experience having. That was a great 10 years. I was glad to have it.
Joe,
I,
did
yeah.
you have anything like that? Were you badass in chaos, but the quiet times were where you got antsy?
Well, yeah, and to be honest with you, this past the hitch, I had somebody actually talk to me about that because we ended up medevacing somebody that had taken the end of his finger off involuntarily.
Yeah.
And when I got to them, they were walking. They walked into the clinic, and it was in the middle of the night. I got woke up, went looking for him. They said he was in one spot, wasn't there, and I said, "Well, okay, I'll go by the clinic, see if they're waiting." Sure enough, they're waiting on me, and he's holding his hand like this. Well, that can only mean one thing, because if you hurt your hand and it's only broken,
You
you're
ain't
not
holding
gonna
it.
ball it up like a fist.
Yeah.
You ball it up like a fist because you took the thing off.
You're gone.
So I get him in there and I take his hand away, and he can see it, and there's exposed elements there. And he starts to get dizzy, and I said, "Oh, buddy, sit down."
Yeah.
And I'm taking care of the patient. The first thing on my mind is I need to hurry up and do a quick focus assessment and get all the things that I need, because I need to get this guy pain relief. And when I'm not going to give him pain reliever, but I still need an order to be able to numb it up. And I'm doing my thing. The
Did
captain is
digital
standing.
block on him?
Yeah, but you can't, but you can't do the internal sheath method on that because there's no top.
Right.
So you'll put it into the sheath, it'll go up the tendon, and it'll come straight out. So
Yeah.
you have to actually do a wheel all the way
Yeah.
around it.
Yep.
And so I got my orders and everything, and I'm very calm doing what I'm doing. The captain's there, and he's shaking a little bit, and he's upset. And when all said and done, got him medevaced off, gave a good handover, and he called me up to his office, and he says, "How in the hell do you do that?" I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?" And he says, "Well, that boy's never going to get that part of his finger back." I says, "I do know that. And I think about that, but I don't think about it at the time that I'm doing what I'm doing. Because if I did," he goes, "oh, you wouldn't have been able to take as good of care." We all do that as paramedics,
Yep.
because of the fact that we all know this too. The good, Scott, you asked a question earlier about, have all paramedics that we've known or worked with been the smartest? Maybe not book smart, maybe not as can beat Alex Trebek at Jeopardy, but I think all the good ones are smart in the fact that they know how to handle themselves on scene. Because if you lose it, and you're the
That's
highest
true.
level of care
Yeah.
on the scene.
Yep.
And if you lose it, everybody around you is going to lose it as well, and you're going to cause an already bad situation worse.
Yeah. The
So we
worst thing
all
you
go,
could,
yeah, we condition ourselves, whether we know it or not, going to this call,
like we've done
preparing
this
for,
all the time.
yeah, and thinking in our mind, yeah, I know it's going to be bad, but I can't flip out, because if I flip out, I can't fix bad or
Yeah.
make bad better. So we precondition ourselves, and we do that so often, I think, through so many of those calls, that sometimes that filters into our personal life, to where we maybe, um, it's a good thing that we're calm, but maybe we're too calm.
Yeah. Holy shit should never come out during a patient assessment.
No.
No,
No.
no, or oh my God, I ain't never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But no, honestly, the ones that get the status of being considered amongst their peers the best medics are the ones that have the best scene management. And a
I
lot
agree.
of that has to do with, well, how they carry themselves and how they interact with every single person that's on that scene.
Agreed.
And I can tell you from experience, the most less informed, the medic that shoots himself in the foot the most, are the ones that brush off the people that were there first, even the first responders,
Yep.
saying,
Good
"Okay,
call.
yeah, right, all right, yeah, I
Right.
got it from here, I got it from." It took you 10 minutes to get there. It took Billy Bob only 5 minutes to hop the fence to be over there. He's guaranteed he's got a wealth more of information than you realize.
Yep. Yep. All right. So mentioning that you had with the, I was on a jack up drilling rig, and the roustabouts had just, I mean, they had painted the inside of this hatch to drop a pallet of stuff that was going into that sack room. So they have to lift the hatch and drop the pallets down into this thing, and they close the hatch so water doesn't get down there with all their stuff. But they had just painted the inside of that hatch. You know, so he didn't want those slings to touch the hatch. And he put his hands on the slings when they were coming out. They had dropped the pallet, they were pulling the damn thing up, and he sees that these slings are about to bounce back and hit that spot he had just painted, so he puts his hand on the slings to push him away from the side of that hatch. And those slings twist, they're wire rope, and it twisted around his finger and pulled his glove off. Well, he immediately, he shakes his hand and he sees blood go across the deck. So he grabs his hand with it. Now he's wearing a glove, greasy ass glove, a work glove, and has grabbed his hand, holds his hands up like that to the crane operator to show him I'm hurt, and then he goes into the change room. Well, the Guytronics on that rig, I hear, "Rob the medic, go to the change room." So I go into the change room. He has gone into the change room, has turned the sink on, and has stuck his finger under that water. I walk in, and I see this, and I said, first, stop this water, because it's not going to coagulate. It's not going to stop bleeding. He's going to bleed out in there. I get it, and I said, "Where's the rest of it?" And he said, "Oh." I said, "Holy crap, you hadn't looked at this?" He said, "No." I said, "All right, let's come sit down." And I'm putting gauze on it, and putting some pressure on it. And I said, "Where's your glove?" He said, "Well, it came off when the slings pulled up." And I said, "Y'all go get his glove." So they went and got his glove, and I package it, and I clean it best I can. I've got normal saline all over that gauze. I've got it bulked up. They bring the glove. We shake the finger out. It is a degloving. From here up is gone. His phalanges are still there. In fact, it was like the Terminator. I told him, I said, "Do that." That did that with it. It just had nothing on there. And, I couldn't say, "Damn, that's cool." But that's what was going in my head. So, good range of motion.
Yeah.
Got him bandaged up. Get the finger. Put it in gauze. Put it in saline. Put it in a Ziploc. Put the Ziploc in there in another bag with a little bit of ice and fluid. And we're getting on a helicopter to fly to the hospital. We go to the hospital, and the doc tells him, he says, "Look," he says, there's too much stuff. I know this guy tried to clean it best he could for you. And I digitally blocked him. Same thing, wheel route all the way around. Mm-hmm. So it was starting to wear off by the time the doc got to us. So he did it again. And he said, "Look," he said, "what we can do, since you've got that good range of motion, is we can take some skin off your thigh and put it around that finger, and you will have a working finger." He said, "Now to do that, it's a graft. We're going to have to cut a hole in your side, and we're going to stick that finger inside your hole and sew your arm to your chest so you don't pull it out. And you'll be like that until the graft takes place."
No thanks.
And he said, no, let me tell you where this guy's head is. He goes, "Oh man, that's going to be a lost time accident." He's worried to death that he's going to cost everybody on that rig a bonus on a lost time accident. He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Dude, that's your finger." I said, "I don't give a shit about a bonus. If you want to have a working hand, you need to do this." And he says, "Doc, if you cut that off," he said, "can I go back out to the rig on light duty?" Doc said, "Yeah."
Right on.
He went in surgery. They cut that damn thing off. It ended up being recordable It wasn't a lost time. He had worked
That dude's
that
a
day.
hero, man.
He came back the next day. The next morning, he was on that platform working again. Now
That
his
boy's a
work
hero.
was rearranging files that were all done, but he
Mm.
went back out and finished out his hitch. That company gave him like $25,000 because it was his
Yeah.
right index finger.
It would have been more than that.
And he goes, "Man, I got $25,000 for that." He said, "I ain't even right-handed." I said, "Well,
I ain't even right-handed.
Yeah.
yeah."
I saw
He-
you
he-
from my mother like that.
He showed up the next crew change. He showed up in a brand new truck.
Good for him.
That $25,000 got spent just as quick as he got it.
Mike, you remember on your Grand Banks when you walk down into the aft cabin, those steps you take down? The Fever was the same setup.
Yeah.
Long range crew, same boat.
Yeah.
And my mother, we would every year we would leave out of Slidell. We were right in Slidell. And we would go. Our yearly cruise was get on the boat and go over to Broadwater Marina, do Ship Island back and forth. You know, and my mother was going to pack the boat, and she was coming down those stairs, going in that back bedroom, and fell, hung her hand, or the wedding ring got hung on one of the like a coat hanger hat, you know, or hat.
They're above
Yeah.
the companionway.
And man, she went down those stairs, and that ring just ripped that whole. He gloved that whole thing. So I saw something similar to that, Rob.
Were they
Yeah.
able to put the
They
finger
put it
back
all
on?
back. Yeah, they got it
Yeah,
all back.
she didn't have
She didn't
pipe
take one for
dope
the
in
team.
it. And, yeah, the you know, I tell you what, that's some of the stuff I saw, and that was the mentality of this guy. Cut my finger off so nobody else on the rig is mad that I
That's
cost
good.
them that bonus.
Good move.
All right,
Yeah, a 680-volt flash burn.
I I've seen some electrical shocks in a yard, not
Flash
offshore.
burn, 680 volts.
Mhm.
Didn't keep touching it.
You just open the cabinet.
Muscles in his face, in his neck, in his shoulder, in his bicep, in his forearms, and the backside of his hand.
All
Down-
he
I didn't have
he lost all that.
he died.
Yeah.
It was the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
The grounding is the worst part.
Yeah.
Takes the most damage.
Oh,
It's not where he contacted the electricity. It's where it grounded out.
He didn't
Well-
contact the electricity at all. It flashed, it burned,
Yeah.
it arced, it blew up on him. And it's instantly singed his entire. He said he saw it coming. He was conscious,
Yeah,
Talk
and
to-
turned to get away.
and I had 20 milligrams of morphine and 20 of Valium, I think.
Every bit of that got used.
It was in the first fucking round, and he was literally, you could see it. You could see where he turned when he saw the arc flash coming, and it burned right here.
Mm.
We took him to Biloxi Regional, and they took him to
Mobile,
Mobile.
Mobile burn unit.
USA.
Straight to Mobile, but I didn't have enough morphine.
All right, number 2.
Go ahead.
Ready? You're quick to describe a scene, but struggle to describe how it felt.
Oh, of course.
Telling a story is clinical, detached, because emotional language was never safe for us to learn. True or false?
Psychiatrist or what? Where'd you get this shit from?
It's a list from a therapist that looked
Yeah, well, we
at
just
first
talked about that.
responders.
You don't feel anything. You're running your call. You run your protocols. You don't feel a thing. Yeah.
Oh, she's giving us hell. I'm telling you. All right, I'm not even going to do for show of hands. I'm just going to.
Keep coming. Keep coming.
You don't recognize avoidance because you call it staying busy. The back-to-back shifts, overtime, always helping others. It's not just duty, it's a distraction.
Oh, that one hurts.
Help him.
That one hurts.
You minimize everything. Even when you're clearly overwhelmed, you brush it off with others have it worse. as if pain has to
Stay
be
on that.
earned.
Stay on that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, you are hyper aware of everyone's safety except for your own. You scan every room, every crowd, every exit, but you don't notice your own body is always on edge.
Hmm.
Once I've
Uh,
assessed, I feel pretty calm.
okay.
Let me ask you this: when you go to a restaurant, you always face the door.
Not necessarily.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I can see a window.
That
I
was,
always try to have my back to a wall facing the door.
Yeah,
yes.
And that's
that's the answer to that question. Then,
Now, I know what you're saying, but I check it out, but I don't conscientiously or purposely or will make someone move so I can look at the door.
no, I don't
I've
do
done that.
that. I
I
just
feel
get to
safe.
the seat before anybody else.
Yeah.
After the last, I'm not going to make you get up.
No.
But if I don't feel safe, I'm not going in. So that's kind of my answer to do I look at the door? No.
Yeah.
But I'm not going if I don't feel safe.
How about this?
Hold on. Let me expand on that. I'm not
Okay.
going, I don't feel safe, but I know I can't control the unknown.
yeah, that's right.
So, the wackos are the wackos, but I'm going to inject myself into a place that I feel comfortable injecting into. And I'm going to be aware of my surroundings, but I'm not going to be paranoid once I say that I feel safe here.
Well, a lot of reasons I do that is, and I don't want to get into politics, but I conceal carry. So, part of when you're concealed
Oh,
carrying,
she's right
Oh,
here.
you can still carry.
part
Oh,
of when you're concealed carry is never
yeah.
having to use what you're carrying. And the best way to keep from having to use it is if you see some shit's going down on this side of the road, get your ass over to the other side of the road where you're not even involved.
I spent
Uh,
5 days riding the subway in New York. I promise you, not one time did I not know exactly what was going on the
Yeah,
train.
absolutely.
right.
There you go. You're hyper vigilant.
Situational awareness. That's it.
That's it.
All right. You feel guilty for surviving, whether it's survivor's guilt from a traumatic call or just being off duty while others are working. That
Nope,
guilt runs deep.
No.
not a
I never
chance.
did. I never had any issues with that either. I'd always laugh when I'd see the units running code. Ha ha, suckers! It's not me. I'm
Right?
off to the.
Have a
I'm
good
going to
shit.
the lake.
Yep.
Sucks to be you. Uh, you assume people won't understand, so you don't even try. Isolation doesn't come from being alone. It comes from believing no one else would get it.
Ah, I have an amazing wife, and that is what that's all
She
you know.
got
So
it.
she gets it. She gets it, and I know that So that's a no from me.
Yeah. I had um
Wives.
yeah, my multiple wives. The first two didn't get it at all, so I didn't even try. The
My,
the
We still,
second,
I mean,
are y'all
yeah,
still friends?
we're not
the
friends anymore.
uh, I don't remember any of their name. I just call them all plaintiff. Um,
Recipients.
you laugh when it gets
Money,
dark.
bitch.
All right, here's this. This is true on me, and I'm sure y'all too. You laugh when it gets dark, not because it's funny, but because the humor is the safest way to talk about the unthinkable.
We do
Hell,
that all the time.
that's this damn podcast.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. No, I mean, you get a bunch of guys in the ER together, and
Yeah.
let me tell you what this idiot did. Let me tell you what that idiot
Yeah,
did. You know,
yeah,
and so, or we'll see something and say, "Well, I bet you, that's going to hurt," or "Well, that'll leave a mark." And people think that we're crude and rude, but in reality, that's how we deal with the crap that we see.
yep,
Sometimes it's not even, we may not even transport or see a patient, but some of the places we have to go to
yeah,
and we see living conditions or we see other,
absolutely.
if we don't try to disconnect ourselves by making fun of it, but in reality, it's our way of dealing with how we really feel deep down inside about it, and not let it break us.
You
Well,
know,
Yeah.
Joe,
you just said with living conditions, man, that's one that would hit hard. You know,
It does.
even over the illnesses and over the trauma, that happens. But to walk in and to see what people have to live with every day, the rats crawling around the kids' room. How about the one? I think we're all familiar with the inbreed, the inbreeders in North Gulf
Yeah.
or
Yep,
Orange.
yep, 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 yep.
no,
We aren't. Yeah,
Yeah,
listen.
it won't mention
No
it.
names.
But you walk in and the place is the you go to turn a light on and the whole wall moves because it's covered in cockroaches, you know. And I mean it's just that is something that hurts even worse than the seeing people live like that is worse than the trauma and the illness.
God, hurts is probably, in my opinion, not the right word. So here's my take on that. If I didn't have a job and I didn't have income and I lived in a trailer, I have self pride. And I promise you, it's going to be the fucking cleanest trailer with holes in the floor
That's right.
in your life.
And
Come
it,
on,
it might be the
I don't feel
plywood doesn't
sorry,
match, but you're going to
honestly.
cover that hole in the floor.
I don't feel sorry for people's living conditions. If they can get up and walk, they can get up and clean. Period. But the pity party in their heart and their head is what makes it what it is. There's
Well,
very
this
let me rephrase that then. Let me rephrase that and to say I don't know that I felt sorry for the adults that lived in those conditions. I
that
felt sorry for the children that lived
100%.
in those conditions.
well the if this is the family that I'm thinking of, that I think we're all thinking of,
Yeah, we are
they were all adults, but they were
mentally
Yeah.
not.
mentally
Yeah,
kids. And the
yeah,
parents had passed on, so you had these kids that were all just like living together, kind of like a
right.
group home, but without the social worker, without that person there to help.
Wasn't there a song by Queen said, "We are the champions"?
Yes, yes,
But
and
I,
but but
and
but
I
that
had a soft spot in my heart for that family. I'm
I
gonna,
love the champions. They got it
that's a
hurt,
good
man.
song. That was a good song.
Yeah, great song. But I'm telling you that there are circumstances that they could have a germaphobe that lives with them.
Yeah, and it wasn't just that one. It was I'd be in the projects. I go in the projects, and again, I go back to the children. The
Yeah.
children that just were born into that circumstance. And you
You know
just,
what? They're gonna be the way they are, and their kids are gonna be the exact same way until you
that's
break.
and that's even more devastating that they are going to be that way.
yeah.
well,
So because and Scott, are we connecting on this? Exactly what Mike's saying. Those kids are going to end up exactly like the adults,
Yeah, it's a
and
vicious
and you're
cycle.
not and you're not thinking at the moment, thinking, man, this place is nasty. You're thinking not only is this nasty, but it's bringing up this child to believe that this is the only way you can live, or this is the
right,
only way you
that's the
should live,
norm.
This
That's
is
the
or
norm.
that this is you deserve this. So then they're going to be the next uh, adults where the ambulance gets there and says, "Oh my God!"
how they
So
have their children. That's right.
yeah, you're thinking to yourself, where are how are these children going to end up? Well, and that's what makes you sad.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that really does hurt. However, there's nothing that the four of us or any company's money that we've ever worked for or any investors that you ever had, Scott, is going to change that situation.
No, no,
No,
no,
No
no.
way, not a
no,
chance.
no.
That's why I let it go.
Mike, I
They
have
were
an
de-
Go ahead.
they were
I
born. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
They were born into this world with a disadvantage, and they were the the adults that were in there were not going to be anything more than a child's mentality, but it was a child's mentality with a residence, no vehicle. That's why we all know them. We became a taxi for them.
Yeah.
But
We were the only means of leaving that environment.
yep, yep. And but you know me, Mike. You know I had a soft spot
Oh, I
for
know.
that family.
Me too. My mother brought me up that way.
We all did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cared about them, but we couldn't change it.
Yeah.
No.
No, you couldn't.
Oh, they're not 20-minute ride.
Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
not a minute ride.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do us for tonight. Our group therapy session got taken care of. Thanks to some therapist that put a post up on Facebook. We have read your stuff and said, no, you're full of crap. We're okay. We're cool. So, congratulations, team. I'm proud of all of y'all. Tonight, folks, we have had, of course, Mike Pontius, our regular, on here. We had Joe Remarcik, great paramedic, and another great paramedic, Scott St. Germain, with us. Thank y'all so much for coming. I want y'all to hang on to those microphones and that stand, because I certainly want to have y'all back on again in the future.
Definitely.
Love to do it.
Fast, dudes.
Yep. No problem.
All
Good
right.
to see both of you again, guys.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. I really enjoyed. I've enjoyed everyone. I don't know if Joe, you've gone back and looked at them, but they've got some great content they've created. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I tell you what, I hope
Yeah,
this one
Rob.
hits that. I hope this one hits the books. If y'all have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to hear us rattle on about, you can always email us. Mike, point to where it is.
It's down there, but
It's right there. You can always email us at gettin108@gmail.com. Getting108@gmail.com. Email us there. We will talk about whatever you want. Hey, if y'all got war stories and don't want to come on here, email us there. We'll read that damn war story on here for you. We're not beyond that.
or text or email me.
There you go. Or email Mike. I need to dox Mike. Let me give you Mike Pontius' street address and phone number. Now, y'all, I can't believe it, but he actually gave his address. All right, folks. We're going to call it a night. Y'all take care. Come back and see us again next week. We look forward to seeing y'all.